It has been an absolutely ridiculous year for hip-hop and rap producers, and now more than ever, people like Metro Boomin and Pierre Bourne see unprecedented levels of notoriety and success for their work. In fact, a song's production is often what determines if a brand new listener will vibe with a particular track. Throughout 2023, we've seen producers completely level up their game, and I think 2024 is poised to have some incredible music with these 5 creatives at the helm. Before we get into the rest of the list, I first want to briefly touch on 2 guys that are extremely talented but just barely landed outside my top 5. The first honorable mention we've got is Southside. He had a pretty solid 2023, starting out the year in February, picking up a production credit on Polo G's song No Time Wasted. Then in May, Southside contributed to Before Fair off Lil Durk's Almost Healed, and about a month later, at the end of June, he'd put in a bit of work on Young Thug's album Business is Business, picking up a production credit for the song Hoodie. And fast forwarding to October, Southside put in some work on Daylight off Drake's For All the Dogs, as well as 2 songs from Offset's Set It Off, Don't You Lie, and On the River. Back in 2022, I really loved what Southside did with Travis and Future on Hold That Heat, and I'm super hyped to see what he can cook up in 2024. The second honorable mention to discuss is working on Dying member Filthy, who I'm sure everyone knows from his work on Whole Lotta Red. In 2023, Filthy put out some real gems showing why he's such a highly sought after collaborative partner. I really loved what he did on Jumbotron Shit Poppin' from Drake and 21 Savage's album Her Loss, and he contributed some phenomenal work on Hellcat Kenny off Business is Business. Filthy's production style was immediately recognizable for me on Green Room and Succubus from Ken Carson's highly anticipated project A Great Chaos, released on October 13th. Rounding out the month of October, Filthy absolutely snapped on Nino Brown and Brew off Homicide Gang's album Fifth Amendment, released on October 27th of this year, and I am very confident Filthy will continue to impress into the new year. Okay, now the honorable mentions are done, we can move into my top 5, starting with a bit of a dark horse, OG Volta. If you're a recent Kanye fan, you definitely are aware of this production duo comprised of Mark Williams and Raul Cubina, more specifically how proficient they are as a creative pair. I call these 2 a dark horse because they are still building a reputation in the rap and hip hop game, but just from their phenomenal work with Kanye, they're already starting to become a noteworthy production force. Mark and Raul picked up a few production credits in the first half of 2023 on a Kid Laroi single and the song Bait off Kim Petras' album released on June 23rd. In October, they got some great recognition on Offset's project with credits on Upside Down, Healthy, and Don't You Lie with Southside, while just a month later, Mark and Raul would work with Kanye once again to produce his new single Vultures. OG Volta are super versatile, they're skilled at sampling, making loops, and crafting an overall vision, which is why I think they're very worthy of the number 5 spot on my list. Moving on to number 4, I have got a truly talented individual, Boy Wonder. His 2023 started off strong in February with credits on Do It Right from Don Toliver's album Lovesick. Also in that month, Boy Wonder and Jack Harlow collaborated on Blame on Me from the project Jackman, while just 3 months later, Boy would put in work on Travis Scott's Utopia. He's credited with production on Meltdown, Schizo, and K-pop, and I desperately need Travis to keep utilizing Boy Wonder's expertise more in the future. On Set It Off, he has credits on I'm On, Skyami, Jealousy, and Blame It on Set, while his contributions to Drake's For All the Dogs include First Person Shooter with J. Cole and All the Parties with Chief Keef. With artists like Travis and Drake continuing to tap into Boy Wonder's talent, I am definitely expecting him to completely step his game up in 2024. And now we move into my top 3, starting with Wheezy. In February of this year, on Don Toliver's album Lovesick, Wheezy contributed production to For Me and Embarrassed, while 3 months later, in May, he worked on 2 songs off Lil Durk's album Almost Healed, 300 Euros, and Cross the Globe. In June, Wheezy worked on Cars Bring Me Out with Dirax and Global Access with Young Thug. On Utopia with Travis Scott, he worked on My Eyes and Topia Twins, and then 1 month later, in August of 2023, he contributed production to Back Where It Begins off Quavo's album Rocket Power. Wheezy capped off the year with credits on No New Bitches from Lil Wayne's The Fix Before the Six and Bust My Watch from Offset's project. He also just announced on Instagram a new single made with Lil Uzi, Nav, and Young Thug that should be dropping sometime soon. I think Wheezy is a very fundamentally sound producer, and his work is always very tight and meticulously done, and I think he also works really well both by himself and in conjunction with other producers. Now, so far, this list has been pretty evenly spaced in terms of overall production skill, but these top two are, in my opinion, light years ahead of everyone else in the game right now. I've chosen an order just for the sake of the video, but I think either of these last two guys could easily be called the singular best producer going into 2024. At my number 2 spot is the extraordinarily skilled BNYX. Benny had an absolutely insane 2023, only rivaled by one other producer in terms of total credits this year. Benny started the year off strong with 8 production credits on Deet's February album Afterlife. He then linked up with Drake in April to do Search and Rescue, and then really turned things up going into the summer. In June, Benny picked up a credit on A off Lil Uzi's Pink Tape and linked up with Kid Cudi to make Porsche Topless. In July, Benny worked on Meltdown and K-pop with Travis, while in August he would do my personal favorite beat of the entire year, Bigger Than Everything with Yeet. Benny also hopped on Quavo's Rocket Power, Tizo Touchdowns, How Do You Sleep at Night, Lil Tecca's album Tech, and Pink Pantheress' project just recently released on November 30th. Benny put in some of his most important work on Drake's For All the Dogs with 8 production credits, and honestly, Drake has Benny to thank for a lot of his 2023 success. BNYX, in my eyes, is one of the most talented, flexible, and consistent producers that we've seen rise to fame in recent years. His instrumentation is otherworldly, and his ability to cater to an artist's particular style and vision is why he is in such high demand right now. In 2024, I see Benny taking his creative direction skills to the next level, maybe in the vein of something like Not All Heroes Wear Capes, where it's Benny trying to execute his own vision for an album using other artists as tools for that. In terms of skill, I genuinely think there is only one man above him. Of course, my number 1 spot goes to Metro Boomin, who has by far had the craziest year production-wise of anyone on this list. He started off 2023 hot, riding the wave of Heroes and Villains that he released in December of 2022. That album is actually up for a Grammy right now and is definitely my personal favorite project from last year. In May of 2023, Metro worked on War About It and Grandson off Lil Durk's album, and in June he went absolutely bananas. He produced the single Popular with Playboi Carti, The Weeknd, and Madonna, and released his soundtrack made for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. At the end of June, he picked up 9 production credits on Young Thug's Business Is Business, and he worked with Travis on Till Further Notice off Utopia in July. Rounding out the year so far, he got a production credit on Offset's album for the song Night Vision. Also remember, we are supposedly getting Metro and Future's upcoming collab album very soon, possibly just before the new year, but if I had to guess, it will probably be delayed till 2024. The Spider-Verse soundtrack is easily in my top 5 rap albums of the year, and I think Metro has more than proven how talented he is at building a creative vision with Not All Heroes Wear Capes, Heroes and Villains, and now the Spider-Verse soundtrack. I think this is the next step for BNYX, doing what Metro is now very proficient at, guiding an entire roster of producers and rappers into crafting your own unique sound profile for an entire album. Metro has easily cemented himself as one of the top 2, if not the top producer to watch going into 2024, and I have no doubt he will continue to push his own boundaries. Well, there you guys have it, my top 5 list with a few honorable mentions. I know all of these producers will be absolutely phenomenal in 2024, and if I was an up-and-coming artist right now, I would be clamoring to get in the studio with people like Benny and Metro. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and let me know down in the comments what you thought of my list and what yours would be.